Okay, great. So we can go ahead and get started. So my name is Heather Klemp, and I am one of the Family Support Clinical Supervisors at CHADS Coalition. And I am going to be talking about our November 2024 topic today, which is gratitude and mental health, building resilience through thankfulness. And I do encourage questions, and if you just want to hold those to the end, that would be amazing. So I want to start with the definition of gratitude. So gratitude is a thankful appreciation for what an individual receives, whether tangible or intangible. And with gratitude, people acknowledge the goodness in their lives. In this process, people usually recognize that the source of the goodness at least in some part, lies outside of themselves. And as a result, it also helps people connect to something larger than themselves, whether that is other people, nature, or a higher power. And there is a leading scholar in gratitude named Dr. Robert Emmons, and he breaks it down even a little bit further, and he says that there are actually two components to gratitude. The first is the affirmation of goodness, right? So we affirm that there are good things in the world, gifts and benefits that we have received. And it doesn't mean that life is perfect. It doesn't ignore any of the complaints, the burdens, or the hassles that we experience. There's a lot of challenges that we navigate in the world. But when we look at life on the whole, gratitude encourages us to identify some amount of goodness in our life. The second part of gratitude that Dr. Emmons speaks of is figuring out where that goodness comes from, right? So we recognize the sources of goodness as outside of ourselves, because it's not stemming from anything that we necessarily did ourselves, in which we might take pride. We appreciate those traits in ourselves, of course, but the gratitude involves this like humble dependence on others. So acknowledging that people, or even higher powers, nature, that they give us many gifts, big and small, and that these things help us achieve the goodness in our lives. So in terms of the research on gratitude, it's actually really powerful that gratitude is strongly and consistently associated with greater happiness. Gratitude helps people feel more positive emotions, relish the good experiences in their lives, improve health in many ways that we'll dig into, navigating adversity, and building strong relationships. So there are a host of mental and physical benefits to practicing gratitude. So studies have shown that feeling thankful helps improve mood, sleep, and immunity, and that it can decrease depression, anxiety, difficulties with chronic pain, and risk of disease. They also have done a specific study on how gratitude and being grateful can improve relationships. So for example, one study found that couples who took time to express gratitude to each other felt more positive towards each other as partners, and they also felt more comfortable expressing concerns about their relationship, right? The beautiful thing about gratitude is it can be cultivated, and it just a little bit every day goes a long way. And so gratitude is a way, again, to appreciate what we have, instead of always reaching for something else or looking for something, kind of the grass is greener on the other side, right? Looking for something else that will make us happier, thinking that we can't feel satisfied until every physical and material need is met. But in fact, gratitude helps us refocus on what we do have instead of what we lack. Right? And although practicing gratitude, if it's new to you, can feel a little bit contrived at first, the practice, that mental state grows stronger with use and practice every day, right? And I'm going to go through some ways that you can cultivate gratitude on a regular basis. So the biggest and one of the easiest is keeping a gratitude journal. So it's just making a habit to write down or share with a loved one your thoughts about the gifts you've received each day. Again, big or small. So it's funny because this is funny in the sense that like this intervention specifically has the most research on it in terms of what works and why it works. And it can be as simple as writing 3 things, 5 things down a day that you are grateful for, right? And the practice works because it's consciously and intentionally focusing our attention on developing more grateful thinking and on eliminating sort of ungrateful thoughts. It helps us guard against taking things for granted. We see gifts in life as new and exciting. And, you know, people who live a life that is filled with gratitude really do experience life differently than those who sort of cheat themselves out of life by not practicing gratitude. And so, you know, they studied, Dr. Emmons and his team studied like thousands of people, ages 8 years old all the way up to 80, and they found a host of benefits in terms of your physical well-being. They found that keeping a gratitude journal for as little as 3 weeks could lead to stronger immune systems, less bothered by aches and pains, lower blood pressure, more prone to exercise and taking better care of their health, sleeping longer and feeling more refreshed upon waking. In terms of psychological health, keeping a gratitude journal led to higher levels of positive emotions, being more alert, alive, and awake, more joy and pleasure, and more optimism and happiness. In terms of social benefits, people were more helpful, generous, compassionate, more forgiving, more outgoing, and they felt less lonely and isolated. So the social benefits, in fact, of practicing gratitude are especially significant because gratitude is a social emotion. Again, it's the something beyond myself having gratitude for. And it's a relationship strengthening emotion because it requires us to see how we've been supported and affirmed by others. Some other practices for gratitude and building that into your life. Writing a thank you note. It can be as simple as, you know, email, a handwritten note. Sometimes I've even done like a Post-it note, you know, and you can make a habit of this when it moves you, you know, and again, just being really intentional and conscious about it. Another practice is thanking someone mentally. No time to write it out. You know, just thinking about that person and something nice that they've done, mentally thanking them. Another practice is counting your blessings. So pick a time every week to sit down and write about your blessings and reflect on what went right, what you are grateful for. And again, just 3 to 5 things over the course of a week. Prayer is also another practice. And so really good way to cultivate gratitude. Meditation, so being present, focused, and in the moment without judgment. And so another strategy, in fact, you know, working with kids is using like a concrete reminder. And so there was a family actually that Dr. Emmons worked with, and what they did is they had a gratitude jar in their home. And so at the end of every day, each of, you know, the parents, kids all together would have loose change at the end of the day and put it all into this jar. And they would, you know, put it in with the intention, gratitude, the practice of, and they had a regular reminder. It was built into their routine. And then when the jar became full, they gave the money to a person in need or to a good cause within their community. Practices like this, that concrete reminder, teach kids the importance of gratitude and show that gratitude is a practice that can really pay it forward. You know, and so giving to others what we have received. And, you know, last but not least, the idea of kind of thinking outside the box. And so, you know, kind of in therapeutic speak, we might call this kind of reframing. But, you know, Dr. Emmons speaks about Mother Teresa and how she was interviewed for her work in Calcutta, and she talked about how grateful she was because the people she was helping, the sick and those dying in Calcutta, they enabled her to grow and deepen in her own spirituality. And so it's a very different way of thinking of gratitude, sort of this reframe, but it's really profound, right? It's a very powerful way of cultivating a sense of gratitude. Um, and so, I leave you with this of just like, what are some of the ways that you've learned to integrate gratitude into your daily practice, or ways that you want to integrate, and especially thinking about the challenges in the world. And I think sometimes we can really get bogged down by the heaviness, life is busy, and then the holidays can be especially stressful, and there's a lot of changes happening in our world. And so just if you were to set an intention of really practicing yourself, or with another, or with your family, just thinking of if any of these ideas would fit into your daily practice. And of course, last but not least, check us out on Instagram and Facebook, and feel free to follow us, Chaz Coalition for Mental Health. And also we have our website, and so we're doing some pretty amazing work. So thank you for listening. And if anybody has any questions, I am happy to do my best to answer. There's some hearts in the chat. I love it. Yeah, so and also if anybody has any questions later on, or has any feedback or comments, I'm always happy to answer. And just feel free to check us out. We're doing really amazing work, and for me, I'm very grateful for Chad's, and I'm really grateful to be a part of the organization. And I feel that every day in the work that we do, and the people that I work with, and the kids that we work with most of all. And so really want to take a moment to really express my gratitude as well. So, all right. Well, if anybody has any questions after the fact, please feel free to reach out. But thank you for taking the time tonight, and I hope everybody has a really happy Thanksgiving and a really lovely evening.